CEO of Mistral AI, Arthur Mensch, in Paris. In a social media post, the Prime Minister highlighted the opportunities in India's growing AI ecosystem. Mensch expressed Mistral AI's strong interest in collaborating with India and partnering with Indian companies to drive innovation and expand AI capabilities. NewsX has spoken to Arthur Mensch. Let's listen in.
Hi, I'm being joined by the CEO of Mistral, Arthur Mensch. Arthur Mensch, thank you very much for speaking to us on NewsX. And of course, you had a meeting with the Prime Minister just a short while ago. What were the key highlights of that meeting?
So we discussed artificial intelligence, and we discussed how important it was for the future of every country, and how important being self-reliant and being able to create value on every part of the stack, from infrastructure all the way to the business applications and going through the models themselves, was important. And so we've sensed a strong, we have a strong alignment with Prime Minister Modi on the importance of that, on the importance of AI as a sovereign topic. Just like energy is a sovereign topic, AI is a sovereign topic. It's a topic of power. If you need to own your AI technology in order to be powerful in the world, and that's going to be more and more true in the coming years. So that has been the topic of the conversation. We as a company can provide solutions for that and can work with local partners to deploy our models on top of sovereign infrastructure in India. We also discussed the progress that we've already made in the country through the various partnerships that we have had with general system integrators with whom we are working with various customers. And we've discussed how AI would diffuse to the population. I think it's a very important topic, as far as I could tell, for Prime Minister. And what we discussed is there are multiple things to do. First, you need to enable the builders and enable more startups to be built from India, and we would love to be helpful there. You need to build more R&D centers and have people that are actually innovating on the AI side, and that's something we'd love also to do. You need to diffuse the technology to the population. And in order for that to happen, you need to have models that have a good understanding of the Indian languages, both at the language space, but also on the voice space. And that's something where there are R&D partnerships that we could be doing on training better models on those languages. And then last topic we discussed is how to actually diffuse the technology to the civil servants and to make sure that public services and the state itself becomes AI enabled. That's something we've been doing in multiple states in Europe, and that's something that I believe we could be also doing with India.
Right, absolutely. Talking about Mistral, you launched the company very recently in 2023. How do you see your competition when it comes to the big tech giants, the likes of OpenAI and Anthropic?
Well, we're more integrated than many of our US counterparts in that we operate from infrastructure all the way to the creation of business applications. We've been really focused on cost and on control. Cost by making models that are smaller and able to run multiple tasks at a fraction of the cost of our competitors. We've been promoting open source technology so that every country can actually take the same technology and deploy it with full control. And then finally, we've been really focused on diffusing the technology in the world to different countries, different governments. We've been focused on manufacturing as well. So our focus is quite different, but our technology allows sovereignty and sovereign deployment, allows cost control, and allows full customization of the systems themselves. So in that way, we are operating in a very different space.
Right, absolutely. You know, you were at the G7 summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Nice. There was the Bharat Innovate Summit that was launched jointly by Prime Minister Modi and President Macron. There is, of course, the Viva Tech Summit that is also taking place, you know, Europe's biggest tech and startup summit. If you could tell us more about how is this collaboration going to help both India and France?
Well, you know, AI is a very costly technology to do and to build. And so as much as we can share the cost of building it and then share the outcomes across the different countries that have very tight strategic alignment, like France and India, the better. Because we will be able to build better technology and we'll be able to get economies of scale that we already get in the European Union thanks to the single market, but having a more integrated market and a third way that is not dependent on the US, that is not dependent on China, is I think very important for the world. AI is all about to become the major source of power and leverage in the world, both economic and strategic. And so as much as we can help enabling India become even more powerful thanks to this technology, as much as we can do the same in Europe and in France, we would love to be doing it more. So integration, thinking of the two economic zones as a single market where companies are collaborating together to create value together, are taking risks together, is I think a great idea for the world and a great way of creating a strong alternative to the hegemons in place.
Thank you very much for speaking to us.